Imagine you arrive at your club. A woman that you do not know, who have been seeing around for a few weeks, approaches you and tells you what a promising player you are. She tells you that you have been playing so well in the team and your team has been performing very well. She said she has been betting on your team because she believes in you so much. She asks you if you have any tips that you can help her in her decision how to bet in the next match. What do? You should not share team information about strategies and injuries. This should be kept inside because people can use it to try to gain money unfairly, to cheat. This is called inside information sharing, and it is, according to law, an act of match manipulation.
You are at a restaurant with your friends. The manager of your club is also there and hears you all talking. And the friends congratulate you because now your team is safe and will finish third, even with 3 games to go. The next game is against a team having difficulties because it needs to win at least 1 more game, not to be relegated. The manager of your club asks you if you can convince your goalkeeper and another defender to help the other team to win, so that they are not relegated. What would you do? Purposely trying to lose, even to obey the manager of your club, is always cheating. You should always play your best. There could always be scouts watching, or other teams who want you to transfer, or your national team coach. In sport, you are never taught to lose on purpose. Underperformance is not sportsmanship and unfair to all the people who come to watch them play and support them. Now imagine that you or your coach, who happens to be in the restaurant, offers you money. How would you react? Still, losing for money is even worse. It is bribery on top of cheating. If you have financial troubles, you should talk to someone about it. Your coach, your family, close friends, your agent. These people can help your situation. Now imagine that all of you have the same agent. You hear the agent telling your coach that if you do not lose the game to your friend's team, then he will make sure to remove all of his players, including you, from the team. He is worried that the other team will get relegated and the value of his players in that team, your friends, will decrease. How can you react? In these situations where someone wants to question your integrity, you should immediately talk to someone you trust, anyone, preferably an adult, who can help in some way. This is extortion and blackmail.
It is ideal to highlight the fact that if a player or a sports personality is approached by someone, by a match fixer actually, that is already very serious. So the player or the other personality from sports which is approached by this match fixer must already have been scrutinized by the match fixer himself, and the match fixer would have had a very good impression that the player might say yes to the actual fix. So being approached in the first place, it is already concerning with regards, and obviously through my experience, it's already concerning when I hear that someone was approached. It is already a bit concerning. So I might say that through the scenario of match fixers, they obviously would approach the players who might say yes. So they would have already taken and made that kind of assessment before approaching a target. The 3 most common scenarios which a match fixer might engage in order to approach a person who is involved in sports. The most famous, the most popular is by socializing mainly. So they might invite you for a coffee firstly, in their telephone conversation or SMSs or chats via social media or whatever, they would not have mentioned anything beforehand, they just invite you for a coffee. It would be an acquaintance, someone you might know, and when they are having a coffee or socializing, they would pay drinks, they would make you feel relaxed, they would, if it is in an atmosphere of socializing, like nightclubs and something like that, they would shower you with a lot of drinks and make you feel important. And obviously, as things evolve, as the conversation evolves, they would eventually point out in some way or another the request in order to have have you underperform or something like that. So I am not saying that every invite for a coffee is suspicious, but when it's coming from someone whom you might know that might be involved in these kind of things, or in betting, for example, on not only online, but particularly betting, which is on the streets, it has to raise your eyebrows and be aware and be very cautious. Other approaches, very common, are social media, whatever that might be. There are even fake accounts, for example, on Facebook, fake accounts, particularly on Instagram, which are people who are not even based here in Malta. These people are putting up these fake accounts. These fake accounts are literally adding players on Instagram, particularly, and asking them to join and telling them that they can make a lot of money, obviously luring them into this matter. And most of them are not even based in the country in which the player is playing. So one has to be very careful when engaging on social media with these kind of people. These profile pictures, these profiles, the pictures within them are pictures which might lure you very easily, and you might get the impression that these people have large sums of money and are wealthy people. In reality, they might not be that fact, and they might be using these kind of pictures in order to lure you, and for no other reason at all. So you have to be very cautious and very vigilant with regards to these kind of profiles. Particularly, we are encountering them mostly on Instagram rather than on Facebook. The third kind of approach is, in my opinion, the least common kind of approach which might match fixer utilize, is by reaching out to a person through someone from his relatives or someone who is very close to him. This is something which is not that popular. So obviously I have explained them on a priority and most popular manner. So the first one which I explained is the most common approach, which is known to us in order for a match fixer to use in order to arrive to his ultimate goal, in order to fix a match and arrange and convince players in order to underperform throughout their match or any kind of other matches. It is important to report, and I have to emphasize on this. It is very important to report because it is the regulations and it is the law which says it. One might not agree with such laws or regulations, and they might be a bit controversial somehow, because the duty to report regulations and laws, they put a duty to report even on persons who refuse a bribe. So if you refuse a bribe and you say no, you resist and say no, that is a very good thing which a person might do, but you still have the duty to report. And if you don't do it, you can get suspended for it. And it is quite controversial with sports people, because they might say, listen, I have done my duty and I don't feel that it is fair that I end up being prosecuted and punished for non-reporting after I have refused. But one has to understand that these regulations and laws are written down because this kind of crime is very difficult to solve. It's very difficult for us and for people involved in law enforcement to come to the bottom of it. So these kind of legislations were put there by legislators and by people in sports, one, because there is zero tolerance towards this kind of crime, and number two, and more importantly, particularly in countries like Malta, which are very small and people unfortunately do not talk that much, it is for bringing people out in order to speak to us. So although these kind of rules might be seen from the sports person a bit draconian and difficult and too harsh, one has to understand and wear the shoes of the legislator and people like us who are investigating that it is very difficult to come to the bottom of it. And obviously one has also needs to understand that this kind of approach, match fixing actually, is ruining the sport which we love so much. In my opinion, it has to be a duty because you love the game, you know? So if you really and honestly love the game, and the beauty of the game, any game, not only football, any sports, is the unpredictability of the outcome. If a match is fixed, no one will follow sports. If football is fixed, the fans would not be interested to follow it. No one would follow a match which he already knows the score, the outcome. I mean, all of us watch live football. We don't watch it on replay because we don't like to do it, because if we know the score beforehand, it makes no sense to watch it. And that is where match fixing is ruining the sports. It's the unpredictability, which is the beauty of football, and it is what fans love the most. Particularly when you have matches, for example, where the underdogs, for example, win a match over a more established, stronger opponent. So my ultimate message, if you really love football, and especially if you're involved in it, you must love it for sure. It is the duty, you have to feel it inside of you, the duty to report anything which comes across you, which you know that someone is engaged in these kind of matters. Finally, and more importantly, the strongest message towards players and people involved in sports are to remember the 3 steps, the 3 R's.
Recognize.
Reject.
Report.